Hey, this is More Than Velocity. I'm Bart Pear here with Jordan Osagara and Ryan Croton, and today we are talking with Backyard Baseball. We've got Kyle Bogese here. Backyard Baseball is a facility just south of Richmond, Virginia. They've actually been using ArmCare for a little while. Actually, you might even call them early adopters, and they've been through several iterations of what's going on, and we just thought it was time to check in with them and get some feedback on what they're doing down there and what they're how they're using the system and just talk. So Kyle, why don't you introduce yourself, and glad to have you here, and just tell us a little bit about Backyard Baseball.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, again, my name's Kyle Bogese, from Chester, Virginia, like you said, south of Richmond. And essentially, we started like right when we started, I saw an ad for, arm care, and I was like, what's this about? So um, I looked into it and I told RC, and I was like, let's try this out, and I got in touch with Jordan. And he was kind enough to kind of explain how things go and how to utilize the dynamometer and how, the ways that it helps. And we were like, okay, let's implement it. I mean, right off the bat, we saw tons of gains as far as like knowing, all right, his internals are really strong, his externals are pretty weak. Um, it's like I like to say it's like having a Corvette engine and Prius brakes. If you slam on the gas and then you try to slam on the brakes, you're going to end up getting hurt. So it really helps us know how to program out their week as far as throwing intensity, throwing was it throwing amount? I can't think of the word right now. Throwing volume. There you go. And as far as like what exercises to do. But the cool thing about the app is that it's right there. So like you really don't even have to program it yourself. It takes a lot of time out of programming as far as from a trainer standpoint. It's just, hey, this is what I did. This is what I'm doing tomorrow. This is how intense the throwing was today. And it just spits out the program right there for you. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome, man. Before we get into the details of how you're using it, tell me a little bit more about Backyard Baseball. What, why did you guys start it? What was the need down there that you were trying to fill? Who you're working with, kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want you to glaze over that because on our first conversation, I remember calling Barton going, these guys are going to do it right. This is going to be like the Rolls Royce for the Northeast. So don't just don't be too humble. Don't glaze over this stuff.
RC and myself both played professional baseball. He got a little higher than I did. He was in AAA, got invited to MLB spring training. He had a .62 ERA in AAA and absolutely crushed it. Got hurt during spring training and they let him go. And he was kind of like, man, I'm done with baseball. It's a business, whatever. For myself, I played single A ball, some independent ball, played in Mexico, more single A ball. Then I was hit by a drunk driver where I actually tore my shoulder, my supraspinatus, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. Now, this was in 2017. So I came home to Virginia from St. Louis in 2018 in January. Before that, I was actually training. I don't know if you know Tread Athletics,
Yep.
but Ben, the owner of Tread Athletics, is one of my best friends, and we lived in St. Louis together training. And we were like, "Hey, let's train some high school players to make extra money." So we were doing stuff out there. Um, Ended up, because of the accident, I had to kind of bail on that situation. Move back home. I had to do some physical therapy and mental rehab stuff as far as learning how to remember again and things of that nature. But when I came here, I coached at a couple of places around, and what I noticed was there wasn't any. So like from in pro ball, you learn like you have a system. You have all right, you do this and you do this, and you have your arm care, lift, and running or whatever. There's not anything like that in youth development. It's like show up, get loose from throwing, have your lesson, leave. And we wanted to change that because you see all these kids getting hurt way too young. You see them getting Tommy John 12, 13 years old, shoulder issues. And like, if you're a kid, you should have a chance to play this game for as long as you want, as long as you can. So what our goal is to have these kids play for literally as long as possible. And by doing that, it's literally just, all right, let's make a professional program for the youth level, you know? So that's kind of how we started. And that's been like our, you know, our sole focus is the development of the shoulder, the arm, proper mechanics. And I mean, we've had a ton of success, you know? You know, the people who stick to the program, like literally stick to it. And I tell them, I'm like, look, I can show you how to throw harder, but if you don't do the exercises to strengthen the shoulder, to make sure your shoulder's healthy, it's able to stabilize the amount of force coming through and everything like that, then like you're going to get hurt eventually. Like you have to have muscles that can stabilize your shoulder, that can withstand all that force coming through. And that is work. It's going to take time and effort, right? And I can't want it for you. You have to want it. So the kids that we work with, they've been very they love seeing the numbers go up. You know, they like, and also the cool thing is with parents, right? Parents invest a ton of money into lessons, into, you know, training, but a lot of places just say, hey, that looks better. Hey, you're dropping your elbow, you know, stuff like that, right? And what we're able to do is actually take that guesswork out of it and really put it like, okay, there's where his numbers were. These are where his numbers are. He's getting better. And we can visually show that to you, you know, and having that visual, I guess you would say, clarity, or that like relief for the parents. Like, okay, the money I'm investing is like working, if you will. There's a return on the investment, right? If I can produce that and literally show that to you, then it's a win-win for everybody, because the players are getting better, the parents are happy, we're getting results, and that obviously drives business. You get results. So it just, the app makes everything a ton easier, man.
Yeah, and with that, you know, you're quantifying the progress these guys are making. You're laying out a plan, you're tracking it, you're reevaluating. If things aren't going the way you want, then you're re-implementing a new plan when it comes down to it. But the big thing is regardless of the age range you work with, and I see it even more now that I've gone back to working with a lot of high school kids, is they'll throw something, they'll be like, oh, that was nasty. It's like, well, probably not, but let's make sure we can actually put some numbers to this. Or they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling really strong today. And then they get in there, they do their arm primer, and they go, I guess I'm kind of just average. It's like, yeah, just feel versus real. Let's make sure we're quantifying what we're doing, because the more we understand those differences, but what we feel versus what's really going on, number one, the better educated athlete we have, the better educated, the better he's going to perform.
Exactly, man.
I wanted to know what's the youngest athlete that you have using the system? Because, you know, one of the things that I'm listening to that you are really doing is you're developing habits, competitive habits. And when I was scouting, one of the part of the elements that I paid attention to most was the questionnaire. And most athletes, you know, they don't realize people are dissecting it. And there was a section that I helped create on habits, competitive habits. And I was amazed how little first rounders had known about how to prepare their arms, how to recover their arms. Some of them had a difficult time recalling the steps that they had integrated, because that was very important. Like, I want to know how methodical they were. And I just think that's such a great thing. What you're doing is building a habit. And I tell you, man, if I go back to my scouting days, I saw a kid using ArmCare, I would say, okay, his arm's a priority. He wants to treat it like a multi-million-dollar piece of his body. And then I could go to the GM and say, this kid, if he checks out on all of their elements for baseball, he has a great process. So I wanted to know that, excuse me, the age.
Yeah. So when I first started, the app wouldn't let me select younger than 10. So wink, wink, 10. But It was probably a couple 8-year-olds doing it. I started them at 8. I just, it was part of our, it still is, so it's not was, it's a part of our assessment that we do before we start anything. We do an assessment, range of motion, you know, everything with the dynamometer. Well, we do slow motion video analysis, full speed video analysis, so we can see intent versus mechanics. You know, and then we do a video breakdown with them. You know, everything from scapulohumeral rhythm to the, you know, internal, external, like just, you know, everything. Hamstring flexibility, hip flexibility, ankle mobility. What we want to do is a comprehensive breakdown of everybody's body, make sure like, hey, you know, and like for some player, obviously for the younger kids, they're like freaking flubber, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're just like, whoosh. It scares me sometimes to see how flexible these kids are, dude. It's like Gumby in there. But either way, you know, I try to, like you said, like it's all about having a routine, right? And you know, when I was training at Driveline, I actually threw the Angels were there, and they were interested because I was like 95, 96, and I guess they had wanted to talk to me, and I said, hold on, I have to do my arm care first. So arm care is super important to me. You know, I had Tommy John in college. It's, you know, I did a ton of stuff, you know, to come back from Tommy John, but I went from like 91, 92 to 97, you know, touching 98. And I don't know if it was just the lifting or the diet change or the arm care, but I did everything the same because it worked, you know. I didn't stop one thing to figure out if it was the other thing at the time, because, you know, I was almost like scared that it would go away. And having that little bit of fear in my mind that if I don't do my program just right, kind of kept me in check, if you will. So that was my own motivation, a little bit of fear, a little bit of, you know, I want to be better than everybody else, so I'm going to do everything plus some. But from the scouting standpoint, like you had said, apparently they told Kyle Bodie that like we're really, really impressed that like instead of coming to talk to us right away or anything like that, like he wanted to take care of his arm. I didn't get signed, so that's upsetting, but still, you know.
That's all good stuff. I want to go back to the parents' perspective, because you were talking about, I mean, are you showing them the data, showing improvement to them, and what's been their reaction to it? Go into a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the cool thing is it actually like sends out an email for a lot of, so like if we have the kids' email, obviously it sends to theirs, but every time they do an arm care test, it shows. And I've actually had a parent say, hey, why did this happen and this happen? And then I had to sit there and try to explain to them, you know, how the arm works, right? Well, he started yesterday and threw 85 pitches. So, you know, it's a little bit lower than normal, but that's normal because he just used his arm a ton, right? And then it's like, you know, a couple days later, we test again, it's back up, and they're like, oh, I see the improvements now. It's like, his arms just rested now, like relax. But they do love it. They love being able to see that. And then what we've actually kind of have it on the hush hush a little bit, but we're working on a all inclusive, like, you know, Power BI thing where pretty much or maybe it's Power BI. I don't know how to say that. I'm not a tech guy. But essentially where every time we do it, anytime we use the TrackMan, anytime we do anything with our technology, it uploads to a player profile. Yep. And log in on the website to your player profile, see how, you know, everything's getting tracked, you know, anything, even like, you know, MyFitnessPal. We're trying to get all of that incorporated so that you can literally track every single aspect of their journey with us. And then we can use that to help them find a college or talk to pro scouts and say like, this is where he was at, this is how hard he worked, we have their videos uploaded. It's just like a whole encompassing, like, I guess you'd say like tracking sheet for their entire program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Career.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Because I'm in the parent mode right now, and I'm lucky enough to deal with Ryan and Jordan. So I'm lucky to know what I don't know, but most parents don't even understand. I mean, they're coming at it from a blank slate, and they're like, hey, this guy seems like a nice person. I can understand the basic threshold. Hey, these are good people. They care about my kids, but that's it. I don't know the details to really say, all right, this is who I'm going to choose because of this. And so I'm like, this data and things like that are so key to helping people make the right decision.
Yeah. I think the hardest part of any of it, like having kids sign up, other than like, the fact that a lot of them want to train with former pro athletes. But like the hardest thing is you have the parents that want to know, and like you can explain it to them and they kind of grasp it, of like everything we're doing, and then you actually do the assessment and they're like, oh, that's really cool. I've never seen anything like that. That's super sweet. And then you have the parents that just, they're like, tell me how you're going to get my kid better. I don't want to hear anything else. And you really have to be like, you have to see it to like really understand. But sorry about that.
No worries. No worries.
I think my dad just called me.
Hey, this has been awesome. I know RC Orland's your partner. He's on vacation right now. Hopefully we can do a kind of a part 2 and get him on here as well. Before we wrap it up, Ryan, Jordan, you got anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I mean, for me, it's just if you're in that area, even if you're not, reach out to them, find a way to get some training with them. They do a fantastic job. You guys have a website? What's your website?
Yeah, just backyardbaseballlab.com. It's really long, but gets to the point.
And as you can see, it doesn't look like he's in a backyard for those of you that are watching. It's a pretty well put together facility. So it looks better than my backyard. I'll say that much, So get in there, check them out. Obviously, they do a great job using the system and then going above and beyond with how that system can be used. So make sure you reach out, find them on social media, get in there and check them out.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Kyle, thanks for joining us.
It was awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yep. Till next time.